Welcome, acolytes. Today I'm reacting to Chibi reviews and finally some good news about Japan, about the censorship situation. Let's hear what Chibi has to say, and thank you to Agent of Social Media Chaos. By the way, if you've seen him, he has a new freaking avatar that looks awesome. I'm gonna say that as much as that. And yeah, by the way, if you don't know, D&D actually wanted to change the phylacteries to soldiers. I am still very, very amused by this. Who the fuck wants a soldier? I don't know who, but definitively acolytes, if you have a jar at home and you see a villain or somebody that is, let's just say, a bit against my will, prepare a jar and stuff in there. Just for the fun of it. So, let's start. Let's see what this good news is.
Finally, I can give uplifting news. It's just been so much back-to-back sad and depressing news when it comes to these credit card, debit card companies, and it just seems like, for a while now, that's all that's been coming out. But there is some positive change. There is some good things happening. Politicians are trying to pass laws, trying to work on things, spreading word. Japanese citizens are, actually finding out a lot more about this situation and trying to do something. There is a lot of uplifting news that's been coming out. There obviously is some bad news that is coming out as well, but today I want to focus on some very good news, mainly about Manga Z. That is today's topic. I want to talk about basically what's going on here, what came out, and what it's about. So for those that are unaware, basically, there has been an ongoing and evolving story with credit card and debit card companies like Visa and MasterCard forcing Japanese companies and sites to self-censor themselves, or
we need soldiers for them, for every single one of them.
Basically shut down. And one of the individual sites that faced this type of issue was Manga Z back last year in October and of May as well in 2024. This little post here does cover that. I'll read this in a second. But the point of the matter is that Manga Z was created by Ken, aka the author of UQ Holder, Negima, and Love Hina. And for those that are unaware or a little bit confused, in the last video I did for this topic and all that, I made a little blip, a little error, and I said that Ken created Melon Books. I meant Manga Z, Manga Library Z. I was reading the title of the article instead of the bottom part. I messed up my words. Apologies on that. Basically, I was not feeling good, very sick, running a fever. That's what happens, but still, I just wanted to clarify that. But anyways, Ken, aka, the creator of Love Hina, UQ Holder, etc., created Manga Z, or Manga Library Z for the full title. He created it, and that site was forced to basically shut down and close its doors late last year. I made a video talking about it, I discussed it, a lot of people got upset, and this was after a lot of stuff that's already been happening within, Japan, to, like, Pixiv, to, DL and all that. There was a lot of stuff that was just being forced to close its doors, or censor itself, or stop content from being shown overseas, different stuff like that. And so, when it happened to Manga Z, obviously there was a lot of reaction. It caused a lot of people to really start becoming aware of the topic, and it definitely caused more people to start discussing it because of just how big of a deal it was. Because obviously the site was a site created to share free works and stuff with people that was out of print, and to see it shut down like that was just like, what the hell, man?
Yeah, what the hell, correct.
It showed complete overreach and just like an attack, not just on the manga industry and anime industry, but just Japanese culture itself. And it's just like, these companies should not have as much power to be able to do that. So we fast forward to today.
Yet
February 4th.
The thing is, yes, he's correct. They shouldn't have the power to do that, but at the end of the day, if there are just a handful of firms that actually have this, companies that have this, and they decide, hey, it is what it is, we're not going to support this. Yeah, sadly, if you like it or not, it is this way. That's why it's our responsibility to actually go in and say, nope, we're not using your bad faith thingy-bob. We're using some other thingy-bob that actually does the things that I want and doesn't F me over if I want to buy some, well, adult content or other content that I want to buy. So, the solution is we're gonna put them in soldiers.
4th of 2025, which now technically in Japan it's February 5th, 2025, we had this announcement that came out. There is already a few articles and posts on this, as you can see. This is translated for Google Translate, but there's a few people now talking about it and spreading word, and I'm doing my part. I think it's very important to discuss this because just as important as it is to talk about the bad stuff, it's also important to talk about the positive stuff.
Correctly.
And since there's just been so much negativity and so much awful stuff back to back, I want to share some positivity today. So, let's get into this. So Manga Z is making a comeback. Manga Z, a platform that offered out-of-print manga for free with an ad-supported revenue-sharing model for creators, was forced to shut down due to credit card restrictions, aka what Visa and MasterCard was doing. However, it's now preparing for a revival, starting with a crowdfunding campaign. The goal is to relaunch the site by the end of April 2025, just a few months from now. In 2024, an increasing number of online services faced restrictions on credit card transactions, and Manga Z was no exception. In May, the platform was given just 3 days to remove certain content, aka like adult content and lolly content, obviously. Then in October, the payment processing company abruptly terminated their contract, making it impossible to continue operations. This one's a very big deal because obviously they had to, do what they asked or they were not going to have any form of payment anymore.
Correct.
But then even despite that, they still terminated basically the payment processing company terminated their contract, and that's what led to a lot of controversy and drama. Despite these setbacks, Manga Z is determined to return. With the help of crowdfunding and community support, the platform aims to resume operations and once again provide access to rare and out-of-print manga. If you're a fan of Manga Z or love classic manga, please consider supporting their efforts. Your contribution could help bring this unique platform back to life, which this post links to this, which is this post here, which outlines, what you would get if you crowdfund and support them. You can see it all here, the different benefits. You can pause the video if you want to read it. But basically, to get into the main point, Manga Z, or Manga Library Z for the full title as you can see here, it is a site that was basically just giving out-of-print manga for free. It was a legal site ran by Ken and others, created by Ken for clarification, and pretty much was there to benefit people. It was to benefit people that could no longer find these certain manga that was out of print, and the money that, was put into it, like, how the creators and stuff got money, was through ads on the said site. Makes a lot of sense. The creators put their work on there, they would get ads for it, people read it. Go figure. Completely fine. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Obviously, the site got forced to close its doors, but I'm glad to see that they are trying to open back up and get crowdfunding for it. So I'm doing my part in trying to share word of this in news, because obviously I hate seeing just what's been happening to Japan as of late. There has been such a crazy attack, not just on the anime and manga industry, but just on their culture itself. And it feels, honestly, I've said this before in another video, but it feels racist. It does. Like, I don't know if you could, but it does. Like, just the overwhelming attack that these card companies have had on just Japanese products in general, while they sit there and allow stuff to happen, like, for instance, with OnlyFans, and I made a topic discussing that, is some wild stuff. It shows the priorities. It shows they don't really care about protecting people or protecting kids or anything like that. They just care about making money and having control. That's what it really just...
Yes, that's how companies work. They do not give a shit about it, but they have some CEOs that want a virtual signal, and they don't care because they don't get punished for their decisions. That's why the soldier exists from now. Yeah, I'm still pissed about that. My beloved phylactery... No. Okay. That's the reason why we, as customers, just should be like, hey, at some point, just be like, hey, the CEO fucked up. This decision was the freaking decision of a CEO. As long as he's there, we're not gonna use your thing. Let be it buy or sell things. I know it's unrealistic. It is the optimal thing to do, but you know as well as me, most of us won't stop for essentials just because of this. But it would be nice to actually punish the CEOs that make the dumb decisions, as it should be, actually. But hey.
Showcases. And so, I'm glad to see some pushback. I'm glad to see that Manga Z is trying to fund itself through the community, which makes perfect sense since technically the people that put their works on this site, the out of print manga and stuff, you know, they were getting paid by the community thanks to ads. So all things considered, I'm glad to see a site that's technically, you know, supported by the community will continue to be supported by the community. I hope that this kicks off and that they're able to crowdfund themselves back to Revival. But let's back up for a second and let's talk about a few things. One thing in particular I do want to say is that I am glad to see pushback. This is a good start. This is something I like to see. It showcases that, in general, that, you know, just because it looks very bleak, or a lot of things have looked bleak for Japan as of late with all this stuff that's been going on, there is a fight taking place, and there is, you know, people trying to stop it. It tried to stop what these card companies are doing. I think that in general, the long-term effects of this, if like this continues to happen, this good news keeps coming out, what's probably going to happen is that Japan is probably going to distance himself away from probably Visa and MasterCard completely, and only allow maybe their regional banks within their own country, and maybe other forms of payment to allow, besides maybe those card companies that have just so much power. I could definitely see this making Japan distance themselves.
This would be a very good idea. Because at the end of the day, for us as consumers, acolytes, it's irrelevant if I'm in this card company or in this card company. Fuck it. If I want my stuff, I'm gonna pay up. Simple as that. It's a bit annoying, but hey.
From that, which honestly I wouldn't blame them. I really wouldn't. At the end of the day, though, what it would do, or what it would cause, would make it hard for people in the West, different countries and stuff, to be able to buy these said products with those cards, because obviously not many people probably can buy a Japanese bank card or whatever.
Yeah, but I think the market would sort it out.
In the end, these card companies are just destroying trade, truthfully, with Japan, and causing it to be just inconvenient to be able to use your money to buy these products. And that's legitimately sad. It's a very sad situation, but it seems like that's probably what's going to happen if this continues to go forward. And either it's going to be more crowdfunded based, or it's going to be just straight up just completely getting rid of card companies in general that probably operate within Japan. I don't think they'll ever fully remove them, but I could definitely see some distance happening. But I'll leave it at that. I wanted to share this good news because obviously been delivering a lot of bad news as of late, so wanted to give you some good news.
Yep. I am happy. Right now I am just happy that there is at least a smidget of good news for this entire thing. Because at the end of the day, you can hear a lot of drama, you can hear a lot of negative things. But if you just get this one thing, like, there is a fight, we have a chance. All in all, people will actually try to do something against it. Perfect. Perfect. We have hope. But as it is, acolytes, good night.